Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Project Bag podcast. On the show for you this week. Well, hold on to your hats, kids, because I have not one, not two, not three, but 4 finished objects to share with you this week. I am on a roll. Moving on to whips, I share my cross-stitch progress with you. Monday Mini Makes has reignited my love for the craft. I also have 2 new cast-ons for you this week, and we take a sneak peek at everyone's entries for the hip-along. Finally, I had a birthday a couple of weeks ago and I was gifted some really wonderful things, and I hope you enjoy looking at them as much as I enjoyed receiving them. Well, hello, welcome, how are you? This is unprecedented in the last year or so for me to come to you so many weeks on the trot, but I had the time, funnily enough, go figure, got lots of time at the minute. And I thought I would sit down and have a chat with you. Welcome if this is your first time trying out the Project Bag podcast. Lovely to meet you. My name's Gemma. You can find me all over the internet as the Project Bag. We have a Ravelry group that's active and really friendly. We have a Facebook group as well called the Project Bag Club. And you can find me on Instagram. All that sort of information will be just down there. If not, go back to episode 35 because it was definitely in that one. I'm a bit hit and miss with my show notes. One of the things I'd like to try and do is look into subtitles. I did switch on YouTube generated subtitles and it was hilarious, so if you want a giggle, try that. And to returning viewers, welcome back. You're probably sick of the sight of me 3 weeks on the trot, but I hope that you are enjoying yourselves, and thank you very much to everyone who's liked and subscribed. We are over 350 subscribers now, which absolutely blows my mind. I would love to get to 500, and so I can have a massive giveaway, basically, if nothing else. Okay, my assistant puppy is asleep. Fingers crossed he stays that way for a little longer. I'm going to move straight ahead into Cal news. Okay, so we have 3 make-alongs going at the moment. We have the hashtag hip-along, which is a crochet along. The idea is that we use the African flower motif to crochet animals. Heidi Bear patterns are fantastic. Other alternatives are available. I was really excited by how everyone in my Wednesday night group, Virtual Knit Night, has gone for this. They're totally here for it. There are penguins, there are stegosauruses, there are triceratops, there's a salamander. There will be a teddy bear from yours truly. Spoiler alert, not a lot has happened to that so far. But yeah, it's really simple. It's running for probably a good 3 months or so. It's super casual. It is running on Ravelry and Instagram. Use the hashtag hipalong, and let's have a look at what some people have been making so far. The other make-along that we've got going on, which is really multi-craftual, is the hashtag isolation along. That is going on at the moment and will last until the end of the worldwide lockdown, and it includes everything that you make or do during the time in which we are together apart in isolation. We have had entries that are cooking, gardening, painting, decorating, jewellery making, crochet, spinning, weaving, all the things. Everything is welcome. The idea is we just flood our Instagram feeds with inspiring things. It doesn't mean that everyone has to be productive all the time. There's been a lot of discussion about the pressure that people are putting themselves under while at home to achieve things and learn languages and better yourself and get fit and get healthy, and it's not about that. It's just an excuse to have a look at some pretty things, and if you don't feel like making, then enjoying looking at what others are doing. I take great pleasure from that personally. we're not going to have a calorie for that this week. We will alternate calories between the hip along and the isolation along, and our third one, which is the crack those whips cal. That started on the 1st of May. I'm delighted that I have a wonderful co-host in the audio podcast, Dr. Sockstagram, also known as Alice, which is her name, because that's how it works. And we are cracking those whips for 3 months. I would usually run this from July until the end of October, but again, not an awful lot going on here at the moment, so I might as well take the opportunity to crack some of my many whips, and crack them I have been. The chatter thread is in my Ravelry group, and we think Alice is going to be hosting a single finished object thread in her Ravelry group. So do please dip in and out, join both groups. You will need to be members of the groups to take part in this. Subscribing to the podcasts isn't essential, but is appreciated. And yeah, so any whips, anything that was a whip on the 1st of May, so it's not something you cast on or started on the 1st of May, it had to already have been started by the 1st of May, counts. Obviously only finished objects are counted for prizes, but it's generally nice to see what everyone's up to and getting rid of those long languishing whips. Believe it or not, we already have some entries, so have a gander at this. I can't believe it, but what you might not be able to believe is that I also have cracked some whips. Yes, I have. I'm so excited about this. It feels really weird. Let's move on to finished objects. So as you saw in my teaser at the start of the episode, I have 4 finished objects for you again this week. I barely know myself at this point. I am absolutely loving having time and the inclination to make. 3 of these finished objects were finished as a result of this last weekend, which usually in the UK would be a bank holiday weekend. So I decided to take 3 days off of social media, off of the project bag, out of touch with everyone, and have what Vullenvine, Kristen, always calls a makecation. So you basically stay at home and make all the things. And I was ridiculously excited for this. I know taking a vacation when you're in lockdown probably seems ridiculous, but actually giving myself that permission to just sit and create for a weekend was exactly what I needed. And switching my phone off, I had my whole phone switched off. I gave people that needed it Alan's number in case of emergencies, and we took it from there. So it was wonderful. I slept better, I got loads done, I felt rested, I enjoyed myself. I think I might actually do that a bit more often, you know, have weekends off and just make and create. It also has the added advantage of the fact that I have lots of content for you. I wasn't going to podcast today, but if I leave it much longer, we'll be going on for hours and hours and hours and hours. So finished objects, I've got 4 things. The first I don't have to hand anymore. I gave it last week. It actually was finished before the last podcast went up, but there was some editing issues, so it was over a week between the podcast being recorded and going up. So this was gifted last week. I dropped it off. We did a kind of doorstep exchange, holding your breath and running away and then running back, and you know, the things you have to do when you want to drop off essential things to people in lockdown. I needed to take some gluten-free bread and some yeast to my friend who hadn't been able to get any. So yeah, and this is the Elsa doll. As promised, here's a picture. As promised, she is bald and featureless, but for my purposes, I'd said I would do the crocheting, and I also thought because it's for my friend's granddaughter, it might be nice for them to actually have a hand in the making of it as well. Added to that, I didn't have craft glue, so I couldn't do her hair. So yeah, I really enjoyed the process of amigurumi. I'm very proud of it. The crochet hook did survive. I showed last week my crochet hook had kind of bent almost in half. It was ridiculous. It's in a drawer at the moment. I'm not going to get it just now. If I remember, I'll take a picture and pop it up here for you, but chances are I won't, so enjoy my wall. Yeah, it was great, and I am really excited to do more crochet. I want to crochet all the things at the moment, but yeah, that's that. My friend's friend was delighted with it, and I hope when lockdown is over and she is back home, that her granddaughter will be delighted with it also. So there we are, one bald Elsa. Finished objects 2 and 3 are new cast-ons. I just wanted to do something. I didn't care what, I just wanted to do something that was fast, that I could have on and off the needles and really feel like I'd achieved something. Ends are woven in one and not the other. Okay, so the first one I did was this hat. I know that seems ridiculous, doing a woolly hat in what appears to be the height of summer. It's once again an absolutely glorious day. Me and the puppy are sweltering here, but I've got the window shut because traffic's picking up again. And that does make me nervous, but anyway. So this hat is knit in 2 different yarns. It's the Ericanite fur wool. It is 100% wool, and it's got this really funky texture. And that's the brim of the hat, which you just fold right up on itself. And then this is that chunky yarn that I've been using. I did the pale blue simple sweater and the deeper blue 5 PM cardi that I showed a couple of months ago now. And yeah, it's knit on huge needles. It was really quick, on and off. I look a bit silly in it. I'm not going to put it on now because I'm vain and I don't want hat hair. But I have got a picture which I will flash up of me wearing it. I am not a hat person. I always look like an egg in a hat, I feel. But anyway, I had enough left over. So I'm just looking. Here we are, from this skein of yarn. It's about 87 metres, 100 grams, but it's knit on a big gauge, so it goes quite far. I had enough left over to knit the headband from the Knit It Tonight poster pattern as well. The hat was from the same Knit It Tonight poster pattern as the scarf I did a few weeks ago, and they also have a headband. I cast off knitwise, and I am regretting it. I wish I had cast off... or did I? Or is that my cast on edge? No, I don't actually know. Anyway, I kind of wish that I cast off in rib because it would have made it stretchier at the bottom. You can see it's not as stretchy at the bottom as it is at the top. So that I think must take me about half an hour to do. It was ridiculous. It was 1, 2, 8, 10 rows. 10 rows, and I still have a little nugget of yarn left over. Goodness knows what that's going to be. Maybe it will go towards a pom-pom. So there's finished objects 2 and 3. Finished object number 4, I am so super proud of. It isn't blocked yet, and you saw in the teaser, it is of course the Calypso cardigan. It's not called the Calypso cardigan at all. It's K something something something. Almost all the ends are woven in. It needs a really aggressive block, and if I hold it up you'll see why. Can you see the ribbing at the front? It's got this band of ribbing that goes all the way along, but it wants to cinch up, and so it's pulling the fronts up and in, a bit like people find happens quite often on the mama vertebrae and baby vertebrae cardis that everyone's knitting. I basically knit the whole weekend to get this done. I spent all day yesterday on Monday sewing it up. It took me about 5 hours to do all the sewing up and to get it all nice and neat. This can be blocked. It is acrylic yarn, but it will respond to being blocked. So it's going to go, when I find my blocking mats, I've got a feeling that they're at the shop, but it is going to go on the blocking mats or on the ironing board and be aggressively blocked to pull that down. On both sides. If I find that that still doesn't do the trick, I might just have to bite the bullet and take off the band and re-knit it, which I will be utterly broken-hearted about because it took so long. The general rule of thumb I find for doing bands is that you pick up in every other stitch, every other row. Now, when it's blocked, if I hold it up against myself again, hang on, let me stand up. This actually will, it's got enough stitches for the rows. I'm not pulling that hard at all. You see? So, and the same with this side. It's got more than enough. It just wants to curve in. And I did actually cast off in rib as well to try and keep it nice and stretchy, but hey ho. I really like it. I did the smallest size for my mum's friend because she is tiny. I would actually have liked a bit more on the length, but the pattern is one of these that says knit 90 rows and then knit another 90 rows. So you are kind of guided by that. I think if I did this again, or one like it, I would be braver and just do more length. I think because it's done in pieces as well, you can't try it on and you can't really gauge the true length of it. It's quite hard to do, quite hard to look at that. But it has made me want to cast on the Harvest cardigan by Tin Can Knits for myself. That is a worsted weight pattern and it's very similar in construction, but I believe it's knit in one piece, so it's not pieced. Because I really like how this fits. I mean, it's far too small for me. The picture that I showed at the beginning, and I'll put over my face now, it's clearly far too small for me. I am not the tiny sparrow of a woman that my mum's friend is, but I really like the shape of it on me and it felt really cozy. So I'm looking forward to doing something like that for myself in the future. Okay, so let's talk whips. With so much off the needles, you would probably be expecting me to not have worked on any whips. However, I have done some work on some things. I have a new cast on which I'm not ready to show you yet because it's actually a design. That will be ready for next week. I've got someone lined up to test it for me and I'm planning on releasing it as a free pattern, just a spring fling freebie. It's in Aran weight cotton. But I reckon you could probably do it in any weight yarn. It's just that I had Aran weight cotton from Truly Hook that I wanted to use. So I will show you that next week. I have a couple of new cast-ons to share with you in whips. The first one I want to share is my first ever African flower motif. Now this is utterly ridiculous because I have done 2 and a bit rounds on my first motif, but I just love the colours that I've chosen. They are colours that are drawn from my, let's hide my face a bit better. They are colours that are drawn from my living room and I've really enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying working with them. It's extra fine merino DK. I'm using a 3mm hook. The pattern, the Heidi Bears pattern that I bought, oh my goodness, is it value for money. There were 7 PDFs to download, 7 different bits of the pattern to download separately. And each one has pages and pages of hints and tips and information. That woman has put everything into these patterns. I felt quite overwhelmed, to be honest, when I saw it. And I thought, oh my God. And that's just my personal brand of crazy. I'm not critiquing her at all. The fact that she's put that much effort into her patterns and given that much information, hats off to her. But I did just feel a bit overwhelmed by it. However, because it's for the hip along, I did nevertheless decide to cast it on. So there we are. There's my first African flower. You can see I am doing it, guys. And it will be joined with the cream Soxier that I showed last week. Now, I was asked whether or not we would have a cast-on party for the Crack Those Whips Cal. Last year, I had the mother of all cast-on parties with Ellen Sheck, Mrs. Lamb's Yarns, Callock Sheck Ellen. I decided to give up casting things on for Lent, and Ellen, being the good friend that she is, said, well, why don't we have a cast-on party? You can cast on lots of things and then that will help you resist the urge to cast on lots of things during Lent. I mean, this does defeat the object completely of giving up casting on, because it wasn't so much that I wanted to give up the pleasure of casting on as I didn't want to have anything else cast on the needles for 40 days and 40 nights. I thought I might actually finish some things. So we cast on over 20 things between us. I think it was like 26 things between us. And when I announced the Crack Those Whips cow was starting, people did actually ask if there was going to be a cast on party, and so many people asked that I thought, what the heck, we will host one. So I did, and I cast on just 3 things. The first is the bear for the hip along that I've shown you. The second is, and I have to rip it back because I've actually done it wrong already. This is the starting point, the start of the starting point shawl by Joji Locatelli, but this is the fading point version. I'm going to do some rustling. So this is all in my hand-dyed yarn. This is Earth's Shadow. It is blue, but it's come out kind of tealy. It's a grey blue, but it does have teal tones to it. Let me just find the rest of the yarn. Okay. There we are. These are my chosen colours. So this one here is Twilight. This one is, oh goodness, what's this one? Catching Waves, I think. This one is Monet, and this one is Mermaid's Purse. So these are my colours for my fading point with, will it balance? That at the bottom. I'm so excited about this. I will be creating fading point kits in various colourways. Oh no, that's Monet, beg your pardon, and that's Mermaid's. Oh, I'm so confused. But that one there is Monet, which I just love. I will be creating kits for these. So yeah, that's that one. I'm going to have to frog it back because I put it down mid-row to sort the dog out and got myself turned around. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there is a mistake about there. It just doesn't quite gel. And I've ended up with 58 stitches instead of 55. So womp womp, that is going to be frogged back and started again. But it'll still count for Crack Those Whips. So the other cast on I have is a crochet cast on, or a hook on, or a chain on, or whatever you want to call it. This is the Raspberry Croissant Shawl. I put a picture of it here. Again, it is a fade. I wanted to be able to showcase some more of my hand-dyed yarns and to see how they would work together, but I wanted a crochet version, so I didn't want it all to be dominated by knitting. And this seemed to be just the ticket. So this is what I've got so far. It's a top-down triangular shaped shawl. Try and hide my face. Come on. There we are. And this is in my new colourway, Moonlight Shadow. It goes with Twilight and Earth's Shadow. And this is it in the cake here. You can see beautiful purples and blues and greys all working together. It was actually named by my lovely friend Helen. If I hold it up that way, you can see a bit more. There we are. I'm really pleased with it. So again, it's a fade. So I'll just whip out the rest of the colours for you to see. There we are. Now I agonised over this because I really was tempted to do a Find Your Fade by Andrea Cretu, but the thing that puts me off is you only use 20 grams of your first colour. And to me, buying a whole skein of hand-dyed yarn to use 20 grams seems a little bit excessive, and I don't do minis. However, had I done that, these would have been my colours, which I just think are so pretty. And so this might have to happen in the future anyway, regardless. That, or this would have made a wonderful looking fading point by Joji Locatelli, I think. So the colours that I've got here, oops, are Moonlight Shadow, Lilac, Fairies in the Back Row, and Fairy Kisses. So they do all tie together because of the purples into and the blues. There are blue tones even in Fairy Kisses and Fairies in the Back Row. And then you've got the pinks here, which is why I think that they would have gone beautifully with the solid pink and peach Melba. I just think that would have looked really lovely. But I didn't do it. I chickened out. Whether or not it becomes something in the future, we will have to see. But suffice it to say, I'm really excited to be working with my own yarn. I do feel a little bit like I'm stealing, if I'm honest. Oh, sorry, I thought that had gone in the coffee. It feels wrong to be using stock, but at the same time, I guess I've got to do it, haven't I? These two might have to become something together, to be honest, even just on their own, because they are so pretty. And this is coming from the not a pink person. remember I said that when we move on. But yeah, I think this one, which is as yet unnamed actually, and Peach Melba go really well together. So, moving on. The one other thing I've got to show you in so far as whips is concerned is cross stitch. I used to cross stitch avidly. It was the main thing I did in the evenings. I've always knitted and I've always crocheted, but I also did cross stitch from an early age as well. And believe it or not, baby Gemma used to only have one thing of one craft on the go at a time. So I would either be knitting, or I would be cross stitching, or I'd be crocheting. And I would see that project through to its finish before picking up a different project or a different craft. I know, I mean, who am I? I've clearly changed a lot. Big Gemma is very different to baby Gemma. And I was bought a really lovely cross stitch by my husband for Christmas probably about 8 years ago. I think, yeah, we just got married. We were living in Chatham, I'm sure of that. So yeah, we'd got married that summer. So it was Christmas of 2012. And I started work on it a couple of years later, and then just it fell by the wayside. But I do Monday mini makes now on Twitch TV. It's a streaming service. It's completely free, but you can watch and tune in as I am making something live, and they're kind of mini make along with me's, not tutorials per se, because some of them I'm trying for the first time with mixed results. Others of them I do know a bit more what I'm talking about, but I was asked for cross stitch, and so I did this bookmark. So I made this bookmark, and it's not quite finished, it just needs the felt on the back. And doing it, I just thought, God, I've really missed cross stitch. I really enjoy it. So how am I going to fit this into my very busy schedule? Because although I'm furloughed, I'm still doing lots. I'm running the home. I'm thinking about the yarn dispensary for the future. I am getting myself ready to rebrand the project bag and getting ready for shows, whether they're virtual or physical. There's a lot going on. And obviously I've got this little one here. Is that just a shadow? Oh good, I thought he'd licked the sofa then. Who is fast asleep beside me. I've got him to deal with as well, and I've got knitting and crochet and dyeing and sewing and all these things that I need to do. How am I going to fit this in? So then I thought to myself, well actually I really like waking up early in the morning. It's my favourite part of the day. So I've decided to get up and extra early every day and do an hour of cross stitch with my coffee, before the dog's awake, before the husband's awake, and I'm doing it as my 100-day project. So I'm going to put a picture here of the cross stitch as it will look, the actual finished piece. And I'm just going to pop a few pictures in now, if it works, fingers crossed, fingers crossed the editing gremlins don't get me again, of my progress over the last couple of weeks. Enjoying it. It's going to be an absolute beauty. If you are interested in cross stitch, then do check out my YouTube channel. The cross stitch mini makes is going up this week. I've been a bit behind with the video editing. Husband's been working from home, which is lovely, but it means I can't get onto the video editing software on the computer. The last podcast took ages to do because I actually edited it on the laptop, which, as you know, was on its last legs anyway, wasn't going to work, so we'll see. But I'm really, really enjoying cross stitch, and there have been lots of cross stitches entered into the isolation along, and I'm really excited to see this one finished, and when it's done I've got lots more. My friend Ellen sent me a lovely cross stitch. It's my favourite song, Christmas song, which is Driving Home for Christmas. It's my favourite because you can do something called the Mayfair quick step to it. It is a quick step. If for people who watch Strictly are interested in that, it is actually a quick step. Slow, slow, quick, quick, slow. It's got that rhythm to it. But the Mayfair quick step goes to it beautifully, which is a sequence dance. And I don't have a video of any of my previous dance clubs doing it, unfortunately, but it's really satisfying, and it's just a lovely feel-good song. And she sent me a cross stitch based around that song, and I really want to do it. She sent me the Ada, the threads, the pattern, so I'm thinking that I might have to get this cross stitch finished and keep this as part of my day. An hour quietly sewing. I don't have the radio on, I don't have the TV on, my phone is off on the other side of the room, and I just get completely absorbed in the process. And while it's light in the mornings, I've got that time to do it. I'm really enjoying it. There are a few cross stitch and sewing podcasts actually out there. There's something called Floss Tube, which is basically anything to do with embroidery and cross stitch because you're using embroidery floss or silks. I know Zakia Lady Wing Designs does a lot of cross stitch. She's a knitter as well. She's a lovely person. I've had the pleasure of meeting her in real life, albeit briefly. So yeah, I'm enjoying diving down that rabbit hole, and as I watch some more and discover some more, I will share them with you here. Okay, so that's it for creative content. What I'm going to show now are some STASHQUISITIONS. Now, I know there are mixed feelings about this. Again, there can be the idea that if podcasters are showing new things they're getting all the time, it's creating this kind of elitist situation where, look at us, we've got all this disposable income, we're getting all this stuff. Actually, it's not really like that for me. And for this, the reason I've got STASHQUISITIONS is because I've had a birthday. 33. I know. I'm getting on. And also because some of these people are still obviously selling, and in this uncertain times, I want to highlight those people that are still vending. I'm not at the moment. The project bag is shut at the moment. Just while I see what happens with this worldwide situation that we find ourselves in now. But people that I have got things from are still trading, and I would like to share those with you so that you can see for yourselves what you might like to support. Okay, so the first thing I've got is this book here, Harry Potter Knitting Magic. My mum messaged me and she said, Gemma, I don't know what to get you. Can I give you some? And you can. I was like, it's all right, mum, you've already got me a book. I knew that she wouldn't be sure what to get me. I also knew that on lockdown she wouldn't be able to get out and that she would probably ask me. And yes, this is available on Amazon, but it's also available from independent yarn shops, and that's where I chose to buy this. This is from the Yarn Dispensary online shop, and at the moment, if you shop through Search Press's website, which distributes this book, if you shop through their website using the code DD75, you get 20% off the list price of the book and free postage and packing. And it also helps the Yarn Dispensary. They get a small commission as well. So although they haven't got the stock in at the moment of this, if you buy any Search Press books using the code DD75, you get 20% off, free postage and packing. But anyway, I snagged the last copy from the shop because I had the keys, so why not? This book, I'm going to be honest, I didn't think I would want it. I loved the idea of it, and I am a big Harry Potter fan. But I didn't expect there to be much in here that was versatile enough. I guess I was expecting it to be more childish. And actually, there are some children's things in here, as you would expect. It's Harry Potter. But there are also some absolutely stunning garments and accessories. Now, the whole reason I bought this book, the reason I decided I had to have this book, is for one jumper in particular. And I think you will agree with me when you see it. This is I'm trying to get it snow glare. This is the Buckbeak pullover. It is a fantastic colourwork construction jumper, and it's got flared sleeves and a flared waistline there, which totally suits me. And I just think it's absolutely beautiful. It's designed after the hippogriff. Now, I am not a big fan of necessarily doing patterns in the colours I see them when other people do them. However, this one I think is going to have to be done in greys because it's Buckbeak, and Buckbeak is grey. That's why these colours have been chosen. Although I do think it would look nice in some blues as well. It's a skill level 4 lightning bolts, which I'm assuming is a little bit more technical. The other one that looks really nice in here is the Time Turner sweater. Again, a really simple colour work motif on the yoke. And that is the time turner. It's so subtle. If you didn't know, you wouldn't know. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like a secret sweater. And I must admit, the idea of having Weasley jumpers, I'm so there for that. I am so there for that. The next STASHQUISITION was a little bit of a surprise. My husband said, I'm giving you some money. I know you don't need yarn, but I know you like yarn. I need it like I need a hole in the head, to be honest. So you can buy yourself some yarn. And to his surprise, I didn't buy yarn with it. What I bought was this. This, if you're not familiar, is a pattern holder. So you open it up. This little note from Nessa. I bought this from the shop. I ordered it online and she packaged it beautifully, but she's also demonstrating what happens here. So you get these magnets and they hold your pattern in place. And then this is all magnetized, this board. It's you can move it down and follow your chart so you don't lose your place. And also what you don't end up with is horrible, natty, screwed up patterns. Mine are always, my paper patterns are always tatty and splitting at the fold lines. And I've wanted one of these for absolutely ages. I got the large because I just thought, why not? And it also has a little pocket here. Now beware of this because my mum has one of these and she lost a pattern and she lost it for absolutely ages. We were going to have to get her another pattern. She couldn't finish her sweater and she was really upset. And then she found her pattern in that pocket because it is almost invisible. So yeah, they come in two sizes. This is the large, as you can see, held up by my head. And the small is probably about 2/3 of the size. It's not tremendously small. Again, available through the Yarn Dispensary website. That's where I got mine from. And I'm really excited to start using it. And I'm about to start using it because get your puppy butt off of my bag. Oh, puppy dog. I also treated myself to, because why wouldn't you, to a new project bag. This is from Verone Bags by Veronique Chantenay. She is a very good friend of mine. We actually followed each other online for years. And then it turns out she lives locally in Kent and she goes to the Yarn Dispensary all the time. So now we've met in real life and we're friends and it's wonderful. Now, hilariously, I've actually got this fabric, this exact same beautiful fabric in blue for my new line in project bags for the project bag as it becomes the Midnight Diary. And this is pink and it's beautiful and it's lovely. And I love these bags because they've got this gorgeous velvet drawstring, but the handle as well. So I like a bag that you can carry like this rather than with the drawstrings. So this is a really good idea. So yeah, it's got a boxed bottom, it's a nice deep gusset. I absolutely love it. The fabric is just stunning. It actually looks a bit like the church that Alan and I got married in, believe it or not. It's not too dissimilar. And along with that, believe it or not, the girl who makes project bags for a business does not have her own notions pouch. I don't have one. So I treated myself, you can hear everything rattling around in there, to a matching notions pouch. And I just adore this little tassel she's put on the end. It's so cute. The top stitching, the attention to detail in Veronique's bags are just incredible. The zip matches perfectly. It's lined in the same fabric as this one and it's padded, and as you can see I've actually put some notions in my notions pouch. So I'm delighted with those purchases. Happy birthday to me, from me. And the reason I say I'm going to be using my pattern keep is because I've got a natty old chart, and this I haven't put any work on this week. It hasn't had any love, but it will do soon. Is my Mama DIY shawl. I can't remember the actual name of the shawl, but it was the Mystery Cowl, and this is in Warning and Aurora Borealis. No point showing you too much of that because it hasn't actually changed, but I'm going to be working on that. Now, Verone's bags, she is still vending. This is her card. She's on Etsy. And she is also on Instagram. And she's a lovely person as well, so that I always think helps. Okay, I have some more STASHQUISITIONS, but I'm not actually going to share them today because they are more pertinent to future projects. So I will share them when I cast them on. I've got 2 worsted sweater quantities worth of yarn and 2 patterns to do them with, but I think until I'm actually ready to start doing them and talking about them, I won't share them here. They're perfectly plain, beautiful yarns, but there is only one other thing I want to share, and that is my very first skein of Nora George yarns. It's so pretty. This is called Dandelion Breeze. Some of the colours looked a lot more saturated in the pictures. I've got a very pale one, but actually I really like it. And you can see, there we are, you can see the colours in there. Absolutely beautiful. So it's a natural base with beige and mint and peach and lilac. That's her ball band, Nora George yarns. And this is the MCN sock, so it's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, 400 meters to 100 grams. I've got no idea what this is going to be yet. I don't know if I want it to be something close to my neck or if I want it to be a new sock design, but it was it's my birthday. I really want a Nora George yarns. I love her colourways. Now's the time to do it. And then as it happens, my dad said, "What can I get you?" "It's all right, Dad, I'm sorted, don't worry." And she also put in this absolutely darling little mini as well, which I'm gonna put probably in my granny stripe blanket. It is just so sweet. So that's it really. There's not a lot else to talk about other than what I've been up to. I've been up to a surprising amount. I need to ring my mum actually, and I need to say thank you, because I've always known that running a household and looking after a family is hard work. There's never been any doubt in my mind that it is a full-time job, but it's amazing to me just how much there is to do. Obviously now I'm home all the time. I've always kind of done housework and bits, but it's kind of slotted around the day job and the business, and it's not been the most organised of houses, and there are things that aren't finished, there's decorating, needs doing, all that sort of thing. But it's amazing to me just how much there is. I said that to my friend Jules just before I started recording this podcast. I was actually out the front washing the windows. I started washing the windows, and every day I do it, it then rains the next day and completely ruins it. So it's going to rain tomorrow, guys. Tuesday, 6th of May, it's going to rain. No, Wednesday, 6th of May, it's going to rain. Because I've been out there and cleaned the windows again. And also the cat used the lounge windows as his own personal cat flap. They're sash style windows, but it's the top half that opens out. So he jumps up, and obviously his paws, his little toe beans rub up against them and whatever. So yeah, I've been super busy with that. I have built a routine. I think I mentioned this before. I've definitely mentioned it on my lives, and that routine is really helping me. But by the time I've got up in the morning, walked the dog, fed the animals, put a wash on, done the washing up if it's been left from the night before, it's 9 o'clock, and there's so much to do, so much to do. I'm trying to edit my Monday mini makes. I'm falling behind with that, and obviously planning the rebranding for the project bag, which I'm super excited about, but still kind of scared. I am actually going to go for it. It's going to be known as the Midnight Diary. I don't know when this is going to take place, when the changes will happen. I've got shows coming up. I've got patterns in magazines coming up from other designers that have used my yarns, so it's picking the right time for it to happen. But I will be known as the Midnight Diary from some point. I don't know when. Yeah, so I've had my vacation, which was wonderful, and I kind of feel like I've been reset a little bit. And now I'm ready to launch myself into it. I've got this time while I'm furloughed that, of course, I'm using it to plan mentally for the Yarn Dispensary's future. But I've got this time that I can really use to get on top of all the things. So probably do some decorating around the house. I've started reading again. I'm reading a fantastic book. It's called The Binding. It is kind of harrowing, actually. it makes you think about books in completely different ways. The basic idea is that a binder is someone who creates a book, and books are not made up, they are real, they are someone's memories, and the person goes to the binder with something that they wish to forget, and they have that taken away from them. They have that bit of life taken away from them, and it ends up in a book. And the books are typically kept in a vault, but sometimes they are sold and people buy them and read them for their own kind of perverse pleasure, to enjoy someone else's misery or tragedy. And it really made me sort of think about the way in which we consume books, and it's been very strange. And novels did exist, but they were made up. So it's interesting. I'm on part 3. It's in 3 parts, I believe. I'm on to part 3, and oh God, I was in the bath last night sobbing. I was absolutely sobbing. It's such a brilliant book. I really recommend it. What else has been going on? Oh, I've been binge watching podcasts. I have gone back to Cozy Up Knits podcast, which started life as Cozy Up the Stitching Sisters, and I've been watching all of their back catalogue. I'm up to episode 80 now. So while I've been knitting and doing things like that, and doing some gardening and walking the dog, and that's it really. Not an awful lot to share, other than, of course, do please join my Monday mini makes every Monday, 8 PM British summer time on Twitch TV /The Project Bag. I invite you to have a little make along with me. Don't tend to need anything special to do it. And of course there's the virtual knit night on a Wednesday night and virtual coffee morning on a Friday morning. All of those things you can gain access to by just dropping me a message, introducing yourself, and I will give you the relevant codes so that you can join us. Tends to be really good fun. It's quite international. We end up doing crazy things like the hip-along and discussing socially distanced penguins in Trafalgar Square, which actually became very interesting because last week we then developed onto considering the family groups. And how you would then work out, oh, it was mad. It was mad. Anyway, I've whittled on for long enough today. I'm going to let you get back to your day. Thank you for spending your time with me. If you have enjoyed yourself, I would really appreciate a like and a share would be wonderful. If you wanted to subscribe and hit the notification button, then you will know next time I have a video up. There is a lot more content coming at you at the moment. My last tutorial for the iCord Corrupted, so I'm going to re-record that and get the iCord tutorials up at some point as well, hopefully this week, but don't hold me to it. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of me. Whatever you're up to, I hope you and your family are safe and well, and we'll see you all on the other side of this. Take care. Bye.